We'll make you scream again. If you don't leave us, Korean Mafia twins said to the black lady Abiola. The story gets deeper, darker, and even more romantic in this part 2 as Abiola becomes the one woman the Korean Mafia twins, Bok-yun and Hakyun, can't live without. Grab your seat, this ride only gets hotter. Watch, enjoy, and don't forget to follow for part 3. The morning after the night they chose each other ***. Warmth. That was the first thing Abiola felt. Not sunlight. Not the soft silk sheets beneath her. But warmth, pressed on both sides of her. A heartbeat on her left. A slower, heavier one on her right. She opened her eyes and froze. Bok-yun lay in front of her, one arm tucked beneath his pillow, lashes dark against his cheeks. He looked different like this. Softer. Almost boyish. The kind of peaceful a mafia leader wasn't supposed to show. Behind her, Hakyun's chest rose and fell steadily, his arm draped loosely across her waist like he wasn't even conscious he was holding her. Abiola swallowed. They were both holding her. The twins, dangerous, intense, beautiful in ways that were almost unfair, were wrapped around her like she belonged to them. And the strangest thing? It didn't feel wrong. It felt inevitable. Carefully she shifted. Bok-yun stirred first, eyes blinking open, dark and gentle. The second he realized she was awake, his entire body softened. "Good morning, beautiful," he whispered, voice husky with sleep. Her heart stumbled. "Good morning." Hakyun woke next, lifting his head from the pillow, hair messy, eyes heavy. He tightened his arm around her waist instinctively, pulling her closer. "You didn't leave," he murmured, voice low and vulnerable. Abiola blinked. "Was I supposed to?" Bok-yun's lips curved. "We hoped you wouldn't. But we were scared you might." Hakyun sat up, rubbing his face with one hand, then looked at her with a serious gaze that didn't match his sleepy features. "Last night wasn't something we take lightly, Abiola." She felt the words sink into her chest. Neither did she. Bok-yun offered his hand, brushing her knuckles softly. "If you ever regret it." "I don't," she cut in. Both brothers froze. Hakyun exhaled slowly, relief flooding his features. He leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. "You don't know what that means to us." Abiola smiled, but then frowned slightly when she felt her stomach grumble loudly. Hakyun's eyes widened. Bok-yun burst out laughing quietly. "You're hungry," Bok-yun said. "Good. We'll cook." Abiola blinked. "You two cook?" Hakyun smirked, standing and stretching, muscles flexing under his shirt. "We don't cook for anyone," Bok-yun added, "only for the woman who made our hearts function again." Her cheeks warmed. They meant it. Every word. The penthouse kitchen, too domestic, too intimate. Abiola sat on a bar stool, watching the twins move around the kitchen like they'd done it 1,000 times. Passing ingredients, bumping shoulders, arguing in low Korean whispers. She had never seen mafia men argue over how much pepper should go in eggs. At one point, Hakyun nearly burned the pan and Bok-yun flicked his forehead. "Yeah. You're distracted." Hakyun's eyes slid to Abiola. "Can you blame me?" Her breath hitched. Bok-yun rolled his eyes but smirked. Abiola looked between them, a quiet confusion settling inside her. "What are we now?" she asked softly. Both men stilled. Hakyun walked to her first, placing both hands on the counter beside her hips, caging her in gently. "We are yours," he said. "If you want us." Bok-yun came up behind her, fingers brushing lightly against her back. "And you are ours," he murmured. "If you choose to be." Her pulse pounded. This wasn't a game. It wasn't infatuation. It was real. Before she could answer, Bok-yun's phone buzzed sharply, breaking the moment. His face shifted the second he checked the screen. A darker look. A colder one. "What's wrong?" Abiola asked. Hakyun grabbed the phone to read the message too, and his jaw locked. They exchanged a glance. A silent one. A dangerous one. Hakyun placed the phone face down on the counter. "Someone learned about last night," he said quietly. Bok-yun's eyes hardened. "And they're already moving." Abiola blinked. "Moving? Who?" The twins stepped closer to her, instinctively, protectively. Hakyun gripped her hand. "Someone dangerous, Abiola." Bok-yun cupped her cheek, voice low and fierce. "And they know you are now the only thing they can use to hurt us." The room felt colder. Abiola stared at the twins, both of them suddenly tense, breathing slower, eyes sharp. Last night brought them together. But this morning, it made her a target. Bok-yun pulled her into his arms, holding her head to his chest. "You're not leaving our sight," he said. "Not now. Not ever." Hakyun wrapped an arm around both of them, his voice a whisper that trembled with fear he never showed. "We won't lose you. We can't." Abiola closed her eyes. She had no idea just how far the twins were willing to go. For her. Morning light filtered through the penthouse blinds. Abiola moved between the kitchen and living room like she'd lived here for weeks, not days, though every small sound still felt new with the knowledge that two powerful men watched over her. Bok-yun sat at the dining table, coffee untouched, eyes tracking her like a hawk. Hakyun fussed with the blinds one finger at a time, a restless energy he couldn't hide. "Eat," Bok-yun ordered quietly, sliding a plate toward her. His voice had that calm, immovable quality that usually smoothed out any argument in the room. Abiola picked up the fork and smiled half-heartedly. "You two are ridiculous." Hakyun grinned from where he leaned against the counter. "We're ridiculous and effective," he teased. "Someone tried following you last night?" He backed off when he saw us. Bok-yun didn't smile. He set his jaw. "They know you're with us now. That changes everything." Abiola's fork hovered midair. "So what does that mean? I can't go to the market?" "I can't." "You can," Hakyun interrupted, stepping forward with an earnest, almost pleading look. "But we will go with you when you want. We're not trying to lock you up." Bok-yun's brow tightened. "That depends. Protection sometimes looks like staying very close." Hakyun shot his brother a look. "And sometimes protection looks like letting her live." The disagreement between the twins was subtle, not loud, but it sent a jolt of tension through the apartment. Abiola watched both of them, suddenly alarmed by how easily devotion could turn into possession. They both noticed the shift in her. Hakyun moved closer, gentler this time. "Abiola," he said softly, "we're trying to balance this. You have your life, your work, and we have a world that doesn't play by rules. We'll protect you. We'll also respect you. Please tell us when it's too much." Bok-yun's voice was quieter than usual. "We don't plan to suffocate you. We plan to stop anything that tries to hurt you." Abiola set the fork down and looked at them both, really looked. The twins who never reacted had become two men whose nights and days had been reshaped by one person. She inhaled slowly. "I appreciate it. I do. But I won't be a secret. If you keep me safe I'll stay, but I won't vanish from my own life." Bok-yun's shoulders loosened fractionally. Hakyun let out a breath as if relieved to have her agreement. The day changed into a new routine, one brother shadowing discreetly, the other letting her breathe. But small jealousies crept in Bok-yun's protective posture when she laughed at Hakyun's jokes. Hakyun's quiet sulk when Abiola reached for Bok-yun's hand in the elevator. That night, as the three sat quietly in the living room, Abiola heard the twins' whispered argument. She rose and placed a hand over each of their. "Stop," she said softly. "If you keep fighting about who gets to protect me, you'll both lose me." They froze, shame and love mixed in their faces. Hakyun swallowed. "You're right." Bok-yun's hand squeezed hers. "We'll do better. Together." She nodded, leaning against them both, between the two men who had become home. In the distance a phone buzzed on the coffee table. Bok-yun reached for it, expression dropping the second he read the message. Hakyun leaned in, reading the screen too. Their faces turned hard, the calm replaced by calculated cold. "Someone's been asking about you on the streets," Bok-yun said after a pause. "They tried to find who you leave with. They're getting closer." Abiola's stomach went cold. She realized then that loving the two of them had consequences she hadn't fully imagined. A spotlight on her life that made her a weapon in other people's hands. Bok-yun set the phone down, thumb rubbing the glass. "From now on we don't let you walk alone." Hakyun's voice trembled but was steady. "We'll keep each other in check. We won't fight over you. We'll fight for you." Abiola's eyes filled, not with fear but with fierce, aching tenderness. "Then fight for my right to live, not to be owned," she said. "Promise me that." They each met her gaze and spoke together, solemn and unshakable. "We promise." That night Bok-yun insisted they move Abiola to a temporary safe house, an undisclosed unit he and Hakyun used when things grew too hot. The ride was short, the streets quieter than usual, the brothers silent and focused. The safe house was minimal and efficient. Reinforced windows, vintage but sturdy furniture, and cameras tucked behind frames. It smelled faintly of cedar and the antiseptic cleanliness of a place meant for short stays and quick exits. Bok-yun set Abiola's bag down, his hands efficient as he assessed locks and exits. Hakyun stood by the window, scanning the dark like a man who couldn't stand still when she might be in danger. "You're not a prisoner," Bok-yun said as he turned to her. "You're protected. There's a difference." Abiola sat on the couch, hugging a cushion. "It doesn't feel like one sometimes." Hakyun came around and sat beside her, close but careful. We don't want to take your life away. We want to teach you how to live with us in it. Their words made sense, but fear still threaded through her chest. Bok-yun walked to a wall panel and toggled a discreet map showing possible exit routes, safe lanes and surveillance blind spots. Lesson 1, he said, returning to stand in front of her. Awareness. Know the exits. Know the faces that follow you. When you walk outside, don't lose yourself in a phone screen. Look up. Hakyun demonstrated. He moved slowly, approaching her from different angles until she could feel his presence before she saw him. You'll learn their tells, he said. Someone who's watching doesn't move the same way. You'll notice the way they breathe, the rhythm of their steps. Abiola practiced with them under the dim lamp's glow. Bok-yun watched her like a teacher who'd found a quick student. Each correction small, patient. Lesson 2, Bok-yun continued, trust your instincts. If something clamps in your chest, don't rationalize it away. She nodded, remembering the elevator, the stairs, the men outside her apartment the first week. The training felt intimate and strange, intimacy filtered through survival. They taught her silence too, how to move without announcing herself, how to exit a room without leaving a trail. Hakyun took her through breathing techniques to keep her calm under pressure. Bok-yun showed her how to steady her hands, how raw the world could be and still be survived. Between lessons they ate simple food together, shared jokes, and the nights felt small and domestic, only to be shattered by the sound of the security panel beeping. Bok-yun's face hardened in a way Abiola had only seen when someone crossed a line. He strode to the panel and read the alert. Motion detected near the roof access. Hakyun was already moving, fingers nimble as he flipped on external cams. False alarm, Hakyun said after scanning, then his voice dropped. No, it's not. There's movement. 2 figures. Low and fast. Bok-yun's eyes narrowed. They're testing us. They moved into practiced routine. Cameras, shutters, silent calls to their network. Abiola felt adrenaline spike, real and raw, and for the first time she understood the cost of being loved by men like Bok-yun and Hakyun. Bok-yun took her hand, then a quick grounding. His voice was a low rumble. Stay behind me. Stay behind Hakyun. Don't be seen. Hakyun placed himself on her other side, forming a ring with Bok-yun that felt profoundly safe and oddly intimate. The 2 men exchanged a look. No brothers bickering now, only coordinated precision. For Abiola, watching them shift into protectors was like watching 2 halves of a whole close wound together. The threat lasted minutes that felt like hours. The figures retreated after detecting the security sweep. A warning, close, aggressive, purposeful. Bok-yun sank onto a chair and exhaled slowly. Hakyun rubbed his temple and then, softer, looked at Abiola. They'll try again, he said. They want to see our reaction. They want to wear you down. Abiola wrapped her arms around herself. Then teach me how to be invulnerable, she said, voice steadier than she felt. Bok-yun's hand found hers. He squeezed once, simple, reassuring. We will. Lesson 3 is patience, knowing when to strike and when to wait. But you have to promise to let us fight for you when it matters. Her eyes met both of theirs. I promise. That night the safe house felt both like a sanctuary and a classroom. The 3 of them sat close as the city pulsed below, and for the first time Abiola didn't feel like a civilian caught in Mafia crossfire. She felt like someone who had chosen to stand with 2 dangerous men and was being taught how to be their center without breaking. And Bok-yun and Hakyun learned something too. How to share a burden, how to coordinate rage and tenderness so the other wouldn't break. Their unity was no longer theoretical, it was necessary. Outside the night whispered threats. Inside hands were held. Lessons were learned. And the 3 of them, bound by choice and danger, braced for whatever came next. The next morning the safe house was unervingly quiet. Abiola stepped out of the small bedroom expecting the twins to be awake, pacing, arguing, anything. Instead, the air felt heavy like the room itself was holding its breath. Bok-yun sat on the couch, elbows on his knees, staring at the security tablet. Hakyun stood near the window, scrolling through messages on his encrypted phone. They both looked up the instant Abiola appeared, too quickly. Too intensely. What happened? She asked, voice low. Bok-yun didn't soften his stare. Something you need to see. He handed her the tablet. On the screen was a paused security clip, the exterior of the safe house. Last night. Abiola pressed play. 2 masked men approached the building, efficient, coordinated, testing the windows, the walls, the back entrance. Then something worse. One of them pointed directly at the camera and made a throat-slashing gesture. Abiola felt her stomach twist. They knew I was here? Hakyun's voice was tight. They followed Bok-yun's car yesterday. They traced the engine's heat signature. They knew exactly which building you entered. Abiola sank down on the arm of the couch. Her heartbeat thundered. Bok-yun moved to her side without hesitation. No one got inside, he said. They tested the defenses, nothing more. Testing means planning, Hakyun added grimly. They'll come back. A sudden argument breaks out between the twins. Hakyun shoved his phone into his pocket. We need to relocate her. Now. No, Bok-yun's answer was immediate, unmovable. They'll expect relocation. The safe house is reinforced. We hold the position. And risk them breaking in tonight? Hakyun snapped. We won't let them. You aren't listening? Abiola stood quickly. Stop it. Both twins froze, eyes snapping to her. I can't be the reason you fight, she said softly. Danger is one thing. You two turning on each other is something else. Hakyun exhaled sharply and rubbed his face. Bok-yun clenched his jaw, but he stepped back. They weren't angry at each other. They were terrified, for her. Abiola's fear shows, then something shifts. Abiola sat again, holding the tablet with trembling fingers. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. Hakyun joined her first, gently lifting the tablet from her lap and setting it aside. Hey, he murmured, look at me. She did. You didn't ask for danger, he said, but you also didn't run from us. You chose to stay. That means something to us. Bok-yun stood behind her, silent for a moment before resting a hand on her shoulder, solid, grounding, gentle. We will not let anything happen to you, he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it held absolute conviction. Something warm pricked behind Abiola's eyes. She didn't want to cry. She really didn't. But her hands trembled out of pure adrenaline and exhaustion. Bok-yun noticed before she did. He moved around the couch, knelt in front of her, and took her hands in his. The cold, distant Mafia leader, on his knees. Abiola, he said quietly, your fear is not weakness. But you don't carry it alone. Hakyun placed a hand on the back of her head and guided her gently into his chest. Abiola gasped once and then let the tears fall. The twins held her. One from the front. One from behind. A perfect cage, not of control, but of protection. A confession slips out, one neither twin expected. When Abiola finally lifted her head, her voice was barely a whisper. I don't want to lose either of you. A silence deeper than any threat filled the room. Hakyun's breath hitched. Bok-yun closed his eyes as if steadying himself. Abiola instantly panicked. I shouldn't have said that, You should have, Bok-yun cut in softly. Because we feel the same. Hakyun nodded slowly. We've been trying not to say it first. Emotion thick in the air. The world outside was lethal and ready to strike. But inside the three of them was a truth they could no longer outrun. The break-in attempt happens. Before anything else could be said, the security alarm burst to life. A shrill, violent sound. The twins moved simultaneously. Hakyun, to the security panel. Bok-yun, to Abiola's side, pulling her behind him. Front entrance, Hakyun hissed. They're here. Bok-yun's voice dropped into pure command. Abiola, stay behind me. Do not move. The metal shutters slammed down. The door shook, once, twice, then again. They're using a hydraulic spreader, Hakyun said. They're trying to force the lock. Abiola's knees nearly buckled. Bok-yun steadied her instantly. Then a gunshot cracked the silence outside. A man shouted. Footsteps scrambled. Another voice yelled. Fall back. Someone's coming. Within seconds the attackers fled. The safe house returned to a suffocating quiet. Bok-yun released a slow breath. They were interrupted, he said. By who? Abiola whispered. Hakyun checked the cameras. His eyes widened. Our men, he said, stunned. They weren't supposed to patrol this area tonight. Bok-yun narrowed his eyes. No, this wasn't coincidence. The realization hits them all at once. Someone inside the organization had tipped the attackers off. Someone had leaked Abiola's location. And worse, someone had urged their men to patrol too. Someone wanted to watch the twins fail. Or watch them save her. Either way, someone was playing with their lives. Hakyun muttered, we're dealing with an inside traitor. Bok-yun turned to Abiola. For the first time that day he looked shaken. Your life is the leverage, he said quietly. They're using you to control us. Abiola's breath stilled. Finally, Hakyun said the thing none of them wanted to voice. They're not going after us anymore. They're going after you. The safe house felt tighter after the attack, like the walls were listening. Abiola paced the living room while the twins spoke in low, sharp tones near the kitchen. She could hear words like betrayal, inside job, and someone close. Bok-yun finally stepped forward, expression unreadable. "We found the traitor," he said. Abiola froze. "Who?" Hakyun exhaled harshly. "Juniseo." Abiola blinked. "The young one? The one who drove us from the airport that night?" Hakyun nodded. "Yes. He's been feeding information to the West Branch for weeks." "He must have followed you," Bok-yun added. "He knew the moment you left the penthouse with us." Abiola felt a chill slide down her spine. She had trusted Juniseo's shy smiles and polite manners. She had believed he was harmless. "Why would he do that?" she whispered. The twins exchanged a heavy look. Bok-yun answered first. "Because he's jealous." Abiola stared. "Of who?" Hakyun's jaw flexed. "You." She felt her breath hitch. "What does that mean?" Bok-yun's voice softened despite the fury behind his eyes. "He liked you. He thought you'd choose him. When you didn't, he decided to punish us. And use you," Hakyun added bitterly, "to get power in return." Abiola shook her head slowly, trembling with anger now. "So he was willing to let me die?" "Yes." Bok-yun's tone held no mercy. "And he nearly did." The interrogation begins. The twins brought Juniseo to the safe house basement, alive but bound, bruised from resisting capture. Abiola stayed upstairs until she felt her conscience clawing at her. She descended the stairs quietly. The basement smelled of concrete and faint metal. Juniseo sat tied to a chair, face down, breathing hard. Hakyun leaned against the wall, arms crossed, fury radiating from him. Bok-yun stood right in front of Juniseo like a storm made flesh. "Why did you betray us?" Bok-yun asked. Juniseo glared up through swollen eyes. "You don't deserve her," he spat. Abiola froze. Hakyun's posture stiffened. Bok-yun's fingers curled into fists. Juniseo continued, voice cracked with envy. "You walk around like kings. You take whatever you want. You took her. She shouldn't be with you. She should have been with someone who loved her gently, not two men who live in blood." Bok-yun's voice dropped into danger. "You endangered her life." Juniseo didn't look away. "I wanted you both to feel fear. To feel helpless. For once." Abiola stepped forward. The three men looked at her, Juniseo in shock, the twins in alarm. "Abiola," Hakyun murmured, "you don't need to be here." "Yes," she said, voice steady. "I do." Abiola confronts him. She walked slowly, stopping a few feet in front of Juniseo. "You liked me?" she asked softly. Juniseo's anger faltered. "Yes," he said. "I still." "But instead of telling me," she whispered, "you tried to get me killed." His face crumpled. "I didn't mean for them to actually." "You didn't care what happened to me," she snapped. "You cared about your ego." Juniseo's silence said everything. Abiola's chest rose and fell sharply. She had been frightened for days, but now anger took shape inside her, sharp, controlled, powerful. She stepped closer. "Look at them," she said, pointing at Bok-yun and Hakyun. "They fight every second to keep me safe. They risk their lives. And you?" She leaned in. "You risked mine." Juniseo swallowed hard. For the first time he looked ashamed. "You think they're dangerous?" she asked, quieter now. "You're the one who betrayed the people who trusted you. Not them." A shocking request. Hakyun stepped closer, voice rough. "Abiola, let us handle him." But Abiola turned to Bok-yun. "Let me decide his punishment." Both twins stiffened. "Abiola?" Bok-yun's voice was low. "Are you sure?" "Yes." Juniseo stared at her in disbelief. "You wouldn't hurt me." And he was right, she wasn't a killer. But she didn't need to be. She approached Bok-yun slowly, placed her hand on his chest and said, "Remove him from the organization. No second chances. And I don't want him anywhere near us again." Bok-yun's breath caught, because she had chosen mercy, not blood. Hakyun exhaled like tension was leaving his bones. "You're different," he murmured. "Stronger than we knew." Juniseo was taken away, exiled, shamed, and stripped of his access, not killed but rendered powerless. Because Abiola chose it. Because the twins respected her word as law. Aftermath, the twins see her differently. When the basement door closed and Juniseo was gone, the silence that remained was heavier than any threat. Abiola turned to the twins, expecting anger or disappointment. Instead, Bok-yun approached her slowly, gently, reverently. "You made the right call," he said. "Not the easy one. The right one." Hakyun came behind her, his hand brushing her back. "You didn't just survive this, he murmured. You led. Abiola swallowed hard, overwhelmed by the intensity in their eyes, like they were seeing her for the first time, not as someone to protect, but as someone powerful. The room warmed with something deeper than desire. Respect. Unity. Dangerous devotion. Bok-yun touched her cheek with careful fingers. From now on, he said, you're not just someone we protect. You're someone we follow, Hakyun finished softly. The sky over Busan was a bruised shade of violet, deepening toward nightfall as Abiola stood on the rooftop of the Hwan Syndicate Tower. The cool ocean wind tangled her braids, brushing strands across her cheek. Below her, the city glittered, alive, oblivious, dangerous. And behind her, she felt them. Bok-yun. Hakyun. Two shadows moving as one. Two heartbeats that seemed to echo against her spine. Two presences that grounded her just as much as they pulled her into chaos. Abiola didn't turn around. She didn't need to. I heard you ran into another ambush today, Bok-yun's voice came first, low, careful, too calm to actually be calm. Hakyun followed with a barely restrained edge. You promised you'd keep your distance when things got heated. Abiola exhaled slowly, eyes still on the skyline. I can't keep depending on you two forever. You're not depending. Bok-yun stepped in front of her now, eyes piercing. You're surviving with us. And you're supposed to let us protect you, Hakyun murmured, standing behind her, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating off him. She wanted to argue. She really did. But her voice betrayed her and softened instead. I don't want to be your weakness, she whispered. Hakyun's breath hitched. Bok-yun's jaw tightened. They moved together, almost unconsciously, Bok-yun cupping her face gently, Hakyun's palm settling against the small of her back as though anchoring her to the earth. Abiola, Bok-yun said, brushing a thumb along her cheek, you are not a weakness. You're the only thing we fight harder for, Hakyun finished. Her chest tightened at their words. They surrounded her, not trapping, sheltering. And despite herself, she leaned into them, letting her guard slip for one stolen moment. But then Bok-yun's voice dropped, softer, darker. What happened today? Don't leave anything out. Abiola swallowed. The rooftop suddenly felt colder. There was a man from the Bek cartel. He wasn't there to kill me, he was there with a message. What message? Hakyun's voice sharpened immediately. That I should step away from you both, Abiola said quietly. That getting involved with the Hwan twins will destroy me. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Dangerous. Bok-yun's expression shifted from concern, to fury, to something darker, protective in a way that made the hair on her arms rise. Hakyun moved first. He tilted Abiola's chin up, forcing her to meet his eyes. And what did you say to him? Abiola's lips curled into a slow, defiant smile. I told him I choose for myself. Hakyun released a breath, almost a laugh, almost a groan of relief. Bok-yun closed his eyes for a moment as if steadying himself. When he opened them, the storm inside was raw and unfiltered. Abiola. His hand slid down to her waist, firm, grounding. Don't ever let anyone speak your destiny for you. She felt surrounded, by warmth, by protectiveness, by the kind of intensity that made her heart race in its own rhythm. But she needed to know. Am I really safe with you? She asked quietly. Hakyun didn't hesitate. He stepped closer, his forehead nearly touching hers. You're safest only with us. Bok-yun mirrored him from the other side, his lips grazing the shell of her ear as he whispered. And even if the world comes to burn, we burn with you, not without you. Abiola's breath shuddered. A chill ran across her skin, not from the wind but from the feeling of being truly claimed, truly wanted, truly fought for. And then Hakyun said the words she wasn't prepared for. Let us protect you tonight. No arguments. She looked between them, two dangerous men, two hearts beating in sync with hers, two lives she never asked for but suddenly couldn't imagine being without. Finally she nodded. Okay, she whispered. And the twins exhaled in the same moment. Relief, need, and something deeper threaded into their breath. Bok-yun pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. Hakyun rested a hand on her hip, thumb tracing slow circles. The rooftop lights reflected in their eyes, two shadows, two flames, two vows silently forming. Tonight, the danger wasn't outside. It was between them. And Abiola didn't run. She stepped closer. The storm broke without warning. 1 second, the night sky over Busan was still and heavy. The next, rain crashed down in sharp, silvery sheets, soaking the rooftop, glazing the city in a fierce glitter. Abiola didn't move. She stood at the edge, eyes on the streetlights far below, letting the cold rain wash across her skin. Her heartbeat was too loud. The twins' closeness from last night still lived under her ribs, warm and confusing. She sensed Bok-yun before he touched her. A jacket settled around her shoulders, not heavy but steady. Protective. "You'll catch a cold," he murmured, his voice softer than the rain. She turned slightly. Water dripped from his hair, sliding down the sharp line of his jaw. Even soaked, Bok-yun still carried that effortless command, that quiet danger paired with too much gentleness when it came to her. Then footsteps behind her. Hakyun. His shirt plastered against him, black hair dripping, eyes burning, not with anger but a fierce, breathless relief when he saw her. "Don't disappear on us like that," he said, coming to stand at her other side. "We didn't know if you were safe." Abiola swallowed. "I needed air." Bok-yun stepped closer, his gaze searching her face. "You didn't sleep." "I couldn't," she admitted. Hakyun brushed a thumb across her cheekbone, wiping rain from her skin. "You're shaken because of what the Beck cartel said." Her chest tightened. They always saw right through her. Abiola lowered her eyes. I'm scared. They don't care about me. They'll use me to hurt you both. And I don't want to be someone you have to protect all the time." Bok-yun's jaw flexed. Hakyun's breath stilled. They looked at each other, one silent exchange, one shared realization. Then Bok-yun took her hands gently in his. "Abiola," he said, voice deep, sure, grounding her. "You are not a burden. Not to us. Not ever." Hakyun stepped behind her, sliding his arms around her waist from the back, warm, steady, sheltering her from the storm. "You make us fight harder. Not weaker." The rain hit harder, drumming like a heartbeat around them. Her voice shook. "I don't want to lose you." "You won't," Bok-yun whispered. "Not unless you walk away from us," Hakyun added quietly. Abiola closed her eyes. The wind whipped through the rooftop, pulling at Bok-yun's jacket around her shoulders. Thunder cracked somewhere over the ocean, but all she felt was the warmth of the men holding her in the storm. She finally spoke. "What do you two really want from me?" The answer came without hesitation. Bok-yun, loyalty. Hakyun, trust. Both together, almost in unison. "You." Abiola's breath caught. Hakyun rested his forehead against the back of her head. Bok-yun raised her chin gently so she met his eyes. "It's not a game," Bok-yun said. "We don't share hearts easily." Hakyun's voice dropped lower, steady, full of something she wasn't ready for. "We don't want you for a moment. We want you for every moment after." The rooftop went silent except for the rain. Abiola felt something inside her melt, fear, doubt, all blending into a single overwhelming truth. She wanted them to. Not as protection. Not as danger. But as something far deeper. She exhaled shakily. "Then don't let me fall," she whispered. "You won't," Bok-yun said. "We'll catch you every time," Hakyun vowed. They drew her into them, one set of arms warm at her front, the other steady at her back. A perfect shield. A perfect storm. Down below, the city roared with life. Up here, Abiola stood between the two men who would burn the world before they let it touch her. And for the first time since everything began, Abiola let herself believe in them. In this twisted love. This impossible bond. This dangerous, breathtaking promise. Tonight wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something none of them had words for yet. But all three felt in their bones. A vow made under the rain.